Hello y'all, Ruben Acevedo, chair of the IEEE organization here at UTSA, and with me I have
Vishal Santalia, the treasurer for IEEE.
Now together we've come today to kind of play with an experimental format of video to inform our fellow engineering students of what's going on both in the College of Engineering as well as with our organization itself. And we have something coming up this very Friday. This Friday, March, what is that, 25th?
25th.
March 25th, this Friday at 2 p.m., we have the Air Force coming down. And those representatives are gonna go ahead and promote some of the scholarships as well as job availability positions that they might have in their program. They're gonna be on campus at 2 p.m., from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. in the Bear Room.
Yes.
BEXAR, the Bear Room on campus. Now that's a UC room?
Yes, we'll have the exact locations in the descriptions.
Yes, in the description as well. And I mean, if you're going throughout the EB, especially the second floor of the EB, you're gonna see flyers for it all over the place, in front of water fountains, on the doors of classes and all, and it'll have the exact specifics. So that's something to definitely keep an eye out for coming on this, on the 25th.
Also, we have free pizza. So if you are just hungry, you can just come by and start your weekend off with a free slice of pizza.
Yeah, definitely. Get some za, get fed for free, so that's gonna be pretty cool. In addition to that, all next week, so this coming Monday kicks off E-Week at UTSA, Engineering Week. And every single day, we're gonna have at least one event hosted by some of the other organizations throughout the College of Engineering. NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, is gonna be hosting an event, as well as ASCE, the American Society for Civil Engineering. They're gonna be hosting a brand new event this year, which they're calling Pie a Professor. And they're getting some of the professors that have agreed to do so to go out in front of one of the lawns, I believe the Paseo.
Yep.
And you're gonna be able to
Pie a professor.
Pie a professor.
If your professor has been chosen or decided to volunteer for this opportunity, you are more than welcome to pie him for all the bad grades he's given to you. Or all the good grades, depends on your mood.
And they're gonna be charging, I think, about maybe $3 per pie. And it's not gonna be a straight up actual like pumpkin pie that you're chunking at their face. It's more gonna be along the lines of like an aluminum tin foil pan with some whipped cream instead. And
but it is the closest thing you get to do to a professor who's giving you a bad grade. Do not miss out on this opportunity.
That's right. Now the IEEE specifically is going to be doing an event that we did for the first time ever last year during E-Week, and that's the Mr. and Miss Engineer pageant. And so it's along the lines of, if you've seen the Mrs. America beauty pageants, they have a portion where they have apparel, they have a portion where they're asked questions, and then there's also a talent portion. We're going to be doing something similar, but with engineering students. So the first portion will have a interview dress apparel type judging factor. The second portion will be questions relevant to maybe diversity as well as gender relations in engineering and in the College of Engineering, as well as maybe some current event questions along the lines of the dealio Apple has found itself in with the federal government. So
San Bernardino event.
Yeah, the San Bernardino deal. So it's going to be along those lines, and the third final portion will be a talent portion. The pairs of participants will get together either to perform a musical number or to, I don't know, juggle something while they're on a unicycle. I don't know their particular talents.
Or build a circuit. See how talented you are and how fast you can build a circuit.
Yeah. So you can solder things in 3D space. I don't know.
Well, one of Ruben's many various talents is that he can build his PC in less than 30 seconds, right?
Yes, I can. Want to see me do it again?
Yes.
I just did it.
Oh.
Kidding around. So that's going to cover up exactly what we're looking for the Mr. and Miss Engineer. That's going on this coming Wednesday, so 1 week from today, on the 30th, March 30th. And our specific event is going to be at 7 p.m. in the main building, ground floor, 0.106. And so it's going to be a bit of an auditorium room where we're going to have an audience as well as the 5 pairs of participants down in the stage area. Now, if you're interested in becoming a participant for that, we're welcoming 10 students to join. So 5 males and 5 females, and they're going to be paired together in the running for up to $500 for first place, which that will be split between the two. You know, whatever y'all decide to send that which way, 50-50, it'll be $250 each for first place. But that's not the only opportunity to win any money. Second place is going to be, second and third place will cascade down the prizes. So first place will be 500 split between, second place will be 250 split between, and then third place will be 150 split between. So there's a pretty high chance that if you join the Mr. and Miss Engineering pageant, you could win some dough and walk around not only with the bragging rights, but with some cash. So
yeah, if you're a little rusty and a little bit, lost on spring break, then it's a great way to redeem yourself and pay for all the bills you accumulated over spring break.
Exactly so. Bills, fees, bail. Who knows?
Yeah, that's something we have to be concerned about nowadays.
So in addition to that, that's just one of the many things that's going on next week for E-Week. On Friday, we'll instead have a banquet open for engineering students, and that should be running about maybe, Patrick, do we know if that's $5 or $10 for admission?
I'm not sure yet.
Not sure yet? It's going to be in the range between $5 or $10, and whichever it settles in at, it's going to be very worth it. I attended last year's engineering banquet, and they had live music as well as an amazing dinner. The dinner alone should have been worth, $18 a pop. So that's super worth it, as well as just networking between the different colleges, so that you're not just, in the view of only your ECE department or only your civil engineering department. We can co-mingle and we can talk about collaboration and just learn some new faces at UTSA. When we go out into the real world, we're the team that's going to be helping each other when we go off to whatever profession we have. And so the networking is a really strong factor of something like that I really encourage you to go to.
And lastly, we would like to let you know that IEEE will be holding some type of seminar, a tutoring session, or general meetings on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, in this particular room, MH 2.2.6.
Yes,
Okay.
2.02.06.
Yeah,
in
we will
MH.
be holding meetings, seminars, or tutorial sessions, and we will be starting to announce that every week, putting up flyers, announcing through Facebook, through social media, and other locations also.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in that, you can come, learn, or help out other students if you're interested. There'll also be EMBS be holding several general meetings down the road.
Yeah.
Through IEEE also.
And EMBS, if you're not familiar, that's our subchapter that handles electrical engineering in tandem with biomedical engineering. So we have the BMES at the actual biomedical college, and this is kind of a joint operation to where we take these two disciplines and place them together to look for projects that intermingle between both the human body and electrical engineering or computer engineering, and spread some light on that, which can, produce some pretty cool projects, as well as trips that we take throughout the year.
So that's it, guys. Don't forget to join us on the Air Force seminar this Friday, and the description and the timing and everything else will be in the descriptions below.
Well, granted, that's it for our updates portion. If you're still with us, I'd like to go ahead and just touch on a topic really quick. It'll take 5 minutes, and what we're focusing on here, you can see all the PCBs and different devices we have all over the table here. The topic will be the difference between what Apple offers its general market versus the PCs that we see from Dell, we see from Acer, just the Windows side of things. So if you have a MacBook Pro laptop, if you've got a iMac that you set up, or I'm not too sure anybody else has these Mac Minis, but what they are, they're like a small form factor Apple desktop. Kind of with the specs of a laptop. So you can hook it up with its various I/O on the back to a regular monitor, stick a mouse in it, stick a keyboard in it, and it's supposed to be like a really small solution for that kind of thing. So at the Apple market, they're very into aesthetics. So this device here, and a lot of the devices are built out of one single beveled out aluminum chassis.
That is true.
Which is great.
There's no holes here.
Yeah, there's no holes. It's great for heat dissipation, and then it's especially just catching to the eye. But it's very closed in. So you buy your product, it has its specs, and then you're kind of just stuck with that.
And the specs are really good. You get Ethernet, I think it's FireWire, right?
Yeah, that's FireWire.
HDMI, DisplayPort, 4 USB ports, and a SD card.
SD card.
And then you get a mic and a headphone jack. And that's it, but that's everything that you probably would need for everyday usage and just to connect to your TV, perhaps.
Yeah, so if you're not a huge computer nerd, it's a great product because it all comes together. You don't have to mess with it. But for some of us, especially in engineering, we want to take it apart. We want to tinker with it. We want to make it better. And when you have a device that's all sealed in, you can't do that. The only thing they allow on something like the Mac Mini or even the iMac is an area where you can replace the RAM sticks, which will help you for multitasking if you got like 32 instances of Chrome open, a bunch of tabs. But on this particular model, you bust open this bottom piece, take that out, and then you're allowed with just that opening to work with. Nothing's accessible. You can take out the RAM if you dare, but you can't get to the PC, the CPU. You can't get to the hard drive, which is buried underneath this Wi-Fi dongle, and so you're kind of limited at that. Which is, with some people, that's not a problem.
That's perfectly fine. You know, most people would love that because they just want to have something plug and play.
Yeah.
But some of us would like to have more control over what system we use.
Definitely. If you want to upgrade sometime near in the future. Now, we're not going to go super in-depth on the PC side of things, but with a PC, you've got a lot of very basic parts. Let me just disconnect a few of these to get it out of the way. So I'm sure in the, just all over marketing and all, you've heard of a motherboard. So the motherboard for a PC is pretty much just where everything's going to be connecting and going on. And Macs have motherboards as well, but they refer to them instead as main boards because you can't really get access to them. So the motherboard's going to hold your CPU, which is underneath this giant piece of metal, and that's because the CPU, as you have your computer on, is going to generate a lot of heat. And if it didn't have this giant chunk of metal on top of it to dissipate that heat, it would overheat, and then your computer would fry and it wouldn't work. So a lot of different companies have different kinds of solutions for dissipating that heat. This one has a plastic cowl, and this PC is from Dell, has a plastic cowl that goes over the heatsink with a powered fan that in turn makes a little tunnel in there of air so it can get rid of it out of the back of the system. And then other PCs do something similar. They strap a fan to a piece of metal to get rid of the heat, as well as your DIMMs of RAM. So we talked about that it's replaceable on the Mac Mini, and they're a little larger on a full-size PC. There we are. And we have 4 6 in here that add up to only 2 gigabytes. A lot of your modern laptops, modern PCs, are gonna have 8 minimum to run things, and pretty much 8 is all you need, whether you're surfing the net or playing some light gaming or anything. As well, so these other slots you're gonna find on a PC motherboard. And what they are is, some of them are PCIe Express slots, as well as other bits of expansion. And this is where it gets really fun on the PC part of things, because then you can take things like a full-size graphics card, where if you're gonna be rendering a lot of SolidWorks, if you're gonna be doing some AutoCAD work, especially gaming. Okay, so a lot of gaming aficionados will know that if you're not on a PS4, if you're not on an Xbox One, you're then gaming on the PC side of things. And
Which has definitely a lot better graphics.
There's tons of advantages, one of them being the sharpest graphics that you can achieve. This is where you'd be able to expand on your PC and add it to your motherboard, whereas your iMac is not going to have that compatibility. You're only going to be doing very light gaming on an iMac. In addition to that, the similar components will be the power supply, which most of that is, this end's going to look a little confusing. But what it does is you connect to your wall, of course. You're going to take your main bit of power, and then for any double E's out there, you're going to know that that power is AC current. And it's going to have to be changed to a DC stable signal, and that all happens within the power supply itself. And these wires over here, they have plastic connectors, which are going to be the specific shape to what they're going to power on the motherboard. So even though a bundle of it like this is going to look a little intimidating, it's very plug and play. It's very much, you can't put something in the wrong spot. It'll be specific for it. That's going to power up your motherboard itself, as well as your other peripherals. And so if you're going to be running anything from a CD,
Back in the day.
Yeah, not a lot of people do anymore, but maybe if you're installing Windows 7 or Windows 10 from a disk, you're going to need an optical disk drive. Or if you're watching a DVD, some people still play their DVDs through their PC.
It's a DVD.
It's kind of like a Betamax, but with less tape.
What's the Betamax?
It's kind of like an 8-track, but with more tape.
What's an 8-track?
It's kind of like, so
Okay,
what you would do.
Stop.
A lot of these expansion parts are just going to be added onto your case. So we have all of this outside of the case, and the cases differ, and you can see that when you go to Best Buy, when you go to Walmart. It's generally a large rectangular prism made out of plastic most of the time, and they'll have one of these snugly set inside of it for you to use conveniently. But if you're building your own, you can pretty much skip it because all your software can either be downloaded or interfaced with a USB thumb drive.
Or internet.
Or yeah, you can bring it in with your Wi-Fi. So another thing that connects very similarly, just like an optical drive, is going to be your hard drive. And if you've heard of a hard drive, what it is essentially is it holds all of your stuff. It holds your Word documents, your Excel sheets, your programs themselves, as well as your entire operating system. And this one here is from...
games.
It holds your games as well. So any of your documents, any of your files are held in a hard drive. Now, this is an older bit, so it runs mechanically, meaning that if you were to take this apart, there's a disk inside that has a little motorized arm that writes literally to that magnetic disk, and then that's how it stores the information. And this one is only 160 gigabytes, which is pretty dated, maybe from 2005, 2006, but they're still generally this shape. Your laptops will also have a hard drive, but they make it in a much smaller form factor. So imagine this exact shape, but brought down to 2.5 inches instead, so it can fit in the laptop, but it does the exact same thing, holds everything for you. Now they have a solution that is not mechanical, that doesn't have a little arm inside moving around, which could be damaged to shock if you drop your laptop, if it's jutted around while it's doing an important read or write. And the solution to that is a solid state drive. So these solid state drives instead work closer to how a flash drive works. It has a bunch of chips on it that do things and write things purely electronically instead of moving that arm. So even if it was affected by a jolt or a bump, it's not going to interrupt its performance or corrupt your data. But those cost a little bit more. Luckily, as of last year, the price has really gone down on them. So if you're looking at similar size to this, like maybe 120 gigabytes, it'll only be $60 instead of like 150, like it was when it just hit the market back in 2008-ish, 2009. So a lot of these is just a real quick run over of when you have a PC, there's a lot of variety. And that can be intimidating to a lot of early builders of PCs as well as early adopters on this side. But there's tons of YouTube videos online about the specifics of what you should buy, what you could buy. If you already have a family computer, how you can throw just $80 into it to make it a gaming rig or to make it an engineering design PC with what you've already got, so that when you open it up, you don't have to be as intimidated by what's inside. There's really just like maybe 6 or 7 basic components. But if that's not your bag of tea, then there's always the Apple variant of things, which are ready to go right out of the box, pre-built, and as far as their functionality, you don't really have to mess with. You don't have to get elbows deep in sort of any PCs or change the thermal paste or anything like that.
This is probably a lot simpler solution than this, but you have more fun with this in the long term.
Granted, it's different markets,
Yep.
What kind of person are you? What kind of person would you like to be eventually? And so that's why, what is it called? Capitalism? We live here in America, so we got the choice to make it.
That's true. We have a choice. I choose not to be an Apple.
We all have our choices. America. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us again. My name was Ruben with the IEEE. This was
Vishal from the IEEE as a treasurer.
But expect to see us again, and we're going to be holding those meetings, like we said, at 4 p.m. every Wednesday here in the MH2.02.06. Thank you, guys.
All right.